Over 270 doses you've never heard with a new one every single week, chat with Buckley on Discord, and lots of other perks when you support The Habit at patreon.com/doseofbuckley. Now, let's rock. Back in 2020, I made a video called Rock's Not Dead, It's Just Hiding, where I attempted to demonstrate that music performed by bands hasn't entirely gone away, it's just not force-fed to you on MTV by Pauly Shore anymore. 5 years later, and we've seen the return of Linkin Park selling out shows, the Gallagher brothers somehow patched up their differences just in time to make a shitload of money on a reunion tour. This year, we'll see the return of Warped Tour, and the When We Were Young festival has been gouging millennials who want an excuse to swoop what's left of their hair over their face and cry along to My Chemical Romance just like they did 20 years ago. Hell, people even defended Green Day when Charlie XCX tried to claim that she should have headlined Coachella instead of a band who's been in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame since 2015. And so, I thought it might be interesting to do an update to that video, possibly give you something new to listen to, broadening your horizons past listening to The Offspring's Come Out and Play for the 10 millionth time. First off, you'll never believe some of the bands that released albums in the last couple of years. Queens of the Stone Age, Foo Fighters, Paramore, Metallica, and everyone's favorite Zeppelin cover band, Greta Van Fleet, all put out stuff in 2023. But so did, get this, Jethro Tull, The Rolling Stones, Def Leppard, The Pretenders, Iggy Pop, at 77 years old, put out a rock album. Mick's 81 as well, so I'm starting to be convinced that not only will rock and roll never die, neither will Mick Jagger. In 2024, hard rock and metal legends like Judas Priest, Bruce Dickinson of Iron Maiden, and Slash all released new music as well. You never heard it because there's just nowhere for it to play. Your local radio stations, which you don't listen to anyway because you use Spotify or YouTube, are all too afraid to play anything that's not already super popular. And every time you think, well, I'm gonna try and find something new, you get overwhelmed and then just go listen to your good stuff playlist. So, let me slow things down a bit and highlight some of what was released in the last couple of years, in 3 categories: new songs by old artists, new songs by new artists, and old songs by new artists? I joked about you only listening to The Offspring. Well, they released Supercharged at the end of 2024. Okay, but this is the last time is absolute 2000s pop punk. And hanging by a thread feels like vintage 90s Offspring, with the sort of galloping drum beat at parts. It's not quite my tempo. I prefer something at the speed of a song like Way Down the Line, but like a key in your pocket when no one's looking, it scratches an itch. Since we're already talking about pop punk from the 90s and 2000s, Green Day released Saviors at the beginning of last year. No Brains is very much a 90s Green Day song. Bobby Socks sounds like a Weezer song accidentally made its way onto the album with Billy Joe singing, and Living in the 20s... Lyrically, Green Day's never been overly subtle. No one's confused about what American Idiot is about, right? But musically, it's very much right at home in a playlist with Walking Contradiction or Minority. 90s alt-rock legends Pearl Jam dropped Dark Matter back in April, and brings in Red Hot Chili Peppers 2010s guitarist Josh Klinghoffer. Waiting for Stevie is... okay, I don't know. I never really cared much for Pearl Jam unless it's Worldwide Suicide or Even Flow. Anytime it starts getting any slower or quieter than those. Like, you know Eddie Vedder's version of Last Kiss? Every time it used to come on the radio, I kinda wished I was the girl in the song. As the kiddies say, if you know, you know. The song Running gets closer to what I'm looking for from a Pearl Jam song, and the title track Dark Matter is also not bad. Gives us a little guitar solo toward the end, but there's a lot of slow shit on here too. But hey, if that's the type of Pearl Jam you like, stuff like Daughter or Alive, check this out. Do Americans know who 3 Days Grace is? Much like Frozen Balls in February, songs like I Hate Everything About You and Just Like You were inescapable up here in Canada. Anyway, they're working on a new album and have shared a track off it called Mayday. I'm sure I'm starting to sound like a broken record at this point, but if you told me that this was a song that came out in the early 2000s, I would have believed it. In fact, I heard it on the radio and just dismissed it as some old song I'd forgotten about. which is a good thing for those of you who can't let go of your youth. And my last two entrants in the old bands, new artists category. Did you grow up on the type of 2000s cock rock nu metal that would have been right at home as the intro for Monday Night Raw? Well, good news, Saliva still makes music. They have a new lead singer, and their original guitarist died, but anyway, I guess this new version of the band thought, we need to make our own version of Click Click Boom. And their new song, Time Bomb, which came out in November, is basically the same fucking song. And I'm kind of embarrassed to admit this, but Scott Stapp of Creed put out a song called Black Butterfly, and it's kinda good. I never thought I'd use the words Creed and good at the same time, unless it was like, did you hear the good news? Playing Creed's Higher is now classified as a war crime, and we'll never have to hear it again. Okay, so maybe none of that dusty old shit appeals to you. Maybe you're one of these people who listen to Olivia Rodrigo channeling Paramore, or Gail channeling Weezer, or Wheatus. And now that you've experienced Baby's first rock songs, you're ready for something that's actual rock. Well, let me introduce you, my new friends, to the Lambrini Girls. Cuntology 101 is my pick for Best Song of 2025, and I don't give a fuck that we just made it to Easter. I don't think this one's for the J-Man, but anyway, this is 80s Britpunk with modern production and also some rotter trance or happy hardcore elements like on Bad Apple. Now, I don't know if I'm the exact audience for this. There's a lot of very feminist lyrics. In fact, the lyrics are more lefty than Sandy Koufax. No one knows what that means, Buckley. But I love this whole album. And while I'm talking about lady rock, I should mention the Beaches, whose song Blame Brett is like a Taylor Swift or Olivia Rodrigo breakup song for adults. This sort of, my ex fucked me up so bad that now I'm gonna be a piece of shit to you. I'm sorry, but I know I'm being a bitch. Plus, she had the balls to name it after her actual ex. Taylor never had the balls to name a song something like, Jake Gyllenhaal's got a tiny dick. Do you like emo-sounding hard rock where there's a melodic singing part and then a bunch of screaming and grindy drop-tune guitars? Look no further than Wage War or Fame on Fire. Both of them are Florida bands. Both of them had their first albums come out less than 10 years ago. Wage War mentioned in an interview that some of their favorite bands growing up were Seosin, Avenged Sevenfold, A Day to Remember, and August Burns Red. And I think you'll find that very apparent if you listen to Blur and Magnetic from their most recent album. And Fame on Fire is obviously influenced by All Time Low, with their cover of Dear Maria Count Me In, and their songs Chains and Nightmare are very much that shouty emo rock that's not quite metal that was hugely popular in the 2000s as well. You know, I've talked about a bunch of Libby City rock, but how about some rural rock? There are two bands starting to get some traction on their tractor tires right now. Giovanni and the Hired Guns. Their song Quitter blends country, rock, and even slight punk elements and sounds a little more fun than my other example here, Hardy's Jim Bob, which is an angrier, grindier track bordering on country metal. Both songs are two very different takes on depression and addiction that are worth giving a listen. And I'm gonna sneak in a plug for a guy who, he has no idea I'm doing this, but check out The Robot's Guide to Living. Their album, Separation Anxiety, is a pop rock, pop punk album, but with really personal lyrics. Like, did you ever think, I'd like Panic at the Disco if it wasn't a bunch of silly bullshit and also their singer wasn't so whiny? Well, I think you'll like these guys. Give them a listen. And my final category, old songs, new artists. Check out the YouTube channels of Mac Glocky or 10-Second Songs, who make these great covers of pop songs reimagined as rock songs. Like Max, If Disturbed wrote Disturbia, if Alien Ant Farm wrote Hot to Go, or if Korn wrote Mbop. Or 10-Second Songs, Gimme More in the style of Nine Inch Nails, Hollaback Girl in the style of Bring Me the Horizon, or Call Me Maybe in the style of Slipknot. I love both these guys. Extremely talented. Check out just one song and I pretty much guarantee you'll lose an hour as you say to yourself, okay, just one more. Wait, if System of a Down wrote Rock Lobster? Okay, one more. Now, I get it. None of this is as good as the stuff I was listening to growing up. Of course not. We've already established this in a video. A lot of people lock in their musical tastes at like 14, and then spend the next 60, 70 years of their lives going, music's not as good as when I was a kid, living this miserable existence chasing a high you'll never achieve again. And yeah, rock's dead because it's not mainstream anymore. It never was. The year Nirvana's Smells Like Teen Spirit made it onto the year-end Hot 100, it was number 32. Number 1 was a Boyz II Men song, Sir Mix-a-Lot's Baby Got Back and Criss Cross's Jump following it. Right Said Fred's I'm Too Sexy was more popular than Nirvana. And the only big rock songs were ballads that played on the radio stations your dentist office would put on in the waiting room. But anyway, both old bands and new artists are keeping the idea of guitar-based music alive. You just gotta look a little for it. Check out Riff's most played songs on Mediabase. Use the old 12-foot ladder to see what Billboard's mainstream rock airplay charts got on it. And then just go down some rabbit holes. Find out what fans of those bands also like. And maybe, just maybe, you'll find something new that you actually like. Or, once again, load up that playlist of the same songs you played on Winamp or Windows Media Player back in the day, so your parents wouldn't hear you beating off. Remember? When that was your life at its best? Remember that? I know, all we are our memories. Fuck, someone get me a guitar and some black eyeliner. Have I got a hit song for 2002?